they've turned that way, and since they have made that right turn, police officers, law enforcement have barricaded the behind the protesters there. And as you saw just a moment ago, it looked like an officer in tactical gear. It looked like he threw what appeared to be a spike strip at a vehicle that just ended up turning around. It looks like your view zoomed in here. I'm a good distance back, guys, but a photographer's telling me that it looks like somebody was arrested here.
Right, it looks like they're taking someone
at the intersection. Again,
right, Ben, it looks like they have someone or taking someone into custody right now. But if we can pan back over as well, it appeared as if at one point in one of your shots there, as if the officers there at the scene were holding up some type of weapon. Have you seen anything fired in the direction of the protesters? Or we got to you right at that moment when it looked like spike strips were thrown at that vehicle that was coming through the intersection. Have you seen anything else out there? I know you said this is developing within the last couple minutes.
I haven't seen any sort of weapon. Again, your view is a lot better than mine. I am several blocks back from where we are, so the zoom on that camera lens is really helping us out a lot. Are a safe distance back as well. It looks like more law enforcement turning down Water Street there, as it looked like a car was driving the wrong way down. Well, so law enforcement is certainly stepping up its presence here within right about as we hit the 10 o'clock hour, Patrick. And again, if you can see something again through the
So Ben, give us an idea how far away are the...
Patrick, we just heard someone yell, "Drop the gun." Yeah,
it looks like someone's coming out of that blue vehicle right there.
Law enforcement has. Can you guys hear that bullhorn?
We can't make out what they're saying.
Okay. So they do have somebody out of that car now.
Right. So what we're seeing, Ben...
And we heard pretty clear from...
Go ahead.
Patrick, it looks like they have weapons drawn right now from what I can see.
Do you know, was that vehicle
coming out of that car now?
Was that vehicle in the intersection before? When we saw the zoomed in before, we saw officers there. If that vehicle was parked in the intersection, or did it just pull up?
It looked like it just pulled up. Honestly, this is the first just that I have seen it before officers and deputies there moved in. And we've got more law enforcement, more tactical vehicles moving here to this intersection. But it looks like they've got 2 people at least. We heard pretty clear from officers. They said, "Drop the gun." It looked cooperating with the situation. It seemed like 10 o'clock hit, and boom, the lights went on, and we saw a pretty remarkable show right out here on Water Street, Patrick.
And as we mentioned, the curfew went into effect at 9 o'clock tonight. It lasts until 5:30 tomorrow morning. As we watch this shot right here, Ben, I am curious, how far away, how far up the street are those protesters? Several blocks away from this intersection?
I would say, the protesters who are on foot are out in front of the whole group, and they made the turn at around that apartment complex. So I would say they're probably a good 4 or 5 blocks up the street, depending if they continued on Water Street toward Brady. And then the cars behind are traveling a little bit more slowly, especially here because they were backed up along the, a little bit closer. But police have been kind of following along. They've been tracking this group of protesters, which really has been peaceful this evening. There's been a bit of reckless driving. We saw people driving on the sidewalks here on Milwaukee. But I would say, Patrick, they're not far. They're not far from where we are right now.
Okay, Ben, we're going to hear from Matt Salemi in News Chopper 12. He's flying above the scene. Matt, give us an idea of what you're...
Street already. They did continue east on Brady. They crossed Cass, and it looks like now they're near Marshall Street. There's still a couple hundred of people on foot. And then I'll widen out here and I'll pan down Brady to show you how far they've gotten off of Water. And there's where the tail end of the cars are now, where Ben with Water Water Street. That's where the massive police presence is. Now, they've passed Holton, they've passed Cass, as I mentioned, and they're on Water Street. Now, we got up right at 9 o'clock, and as we did, we saw the protesters marching into the 3rd Ward, and check out this video that we were able to capture. Car tried to continue down on Water Street, and it tried to do a U-turn, and there was a squad behind it and another U-turn in the right turn lane, got trapped on either side of the cars, and then he backed and slammed into the squad car and sped on Milwaukee, as Ben said, all the way up to Water Street, and now they're moving into the east side.
Okay, Matt, you keep an eye on the situation. Wagner on the ground near Milwaukee and Water. What do you have for us, Ben?
Patrick, we've got law enforcement. Looked like they were carrying those spike strips through that blue sedan, which is right about moments ago. Officers took at least 2 people into custody. Looks like one vehicle now turning and heading back toward downtown. Any cars down Water Street? Saw Matt, and where we just saw those marchers moving just a moment ago. So that it doesn't appear that much has really. A moment ago, we can see another law enforcement because there are a number of different agencies, jurisdictions out here. We know Milwaukee Police, but the sheriff's office is also out here, and we have seen a number of other departments as well. So they have this area blocked off. A couple of cars look like they might be stuck behind those law enforcement vehicles right now. And again, as they continue to investigate that here tonight. Patrick.
All right, Ben, we're going to come back to you a little later on, so you there, whatever you can. We're also going to keep Matt Salemi up, so he's going to keep an eye on the protests as well. We do want to say that we learned a short time ago that because of these protests, we do want to mention that the Milwaukee County Transit System is currently suspending service in the city. It's from Hampton East to the lakefront. Again, that's from MCTS. The deaths of 2 men at the hands of police, George Floyd and Joel Acevedo. Floyd died after a white Minneapolis police officer knelt on his neck. Today, we learned an independent autopsy shows Floyd died 1 week ago of asphyxiation from sustained pressure on his back and neck. Now, that's different than the finding by the Hennepin County Medical Examiner, which reported no physiculation. Now, here in Milwaukee, Mayor Mattioli put Joel Acevedo in a chokehold during a party at Mattioli's home in April. Milwaukee Police Chief Alfonso Morales says firing Mattioli is out of his hands since the Fire and Police Commission is handling the investigation. Fire to a Racine community policing house last night. 12 News' Caroline Reinwald is live. City leaders believe the criminals are not from Racine.
That's right, Patrick, and even though there is a 10 p.m. curfew, you have a peaceful person here yelling, hands up, don't shoot, and a lot of other chants here outside the police department with the police force there in the back in a line in riot gear as well. Now, the police chief today and the Racine mayor say they do not believe that last night's arsonists from the incident last night are from Racine because people in the community know how cherished this police house is.